Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday night, and this is Tech Charged, episode 28, a Turn Down for What podcast live. We are here the night before Thanksgiving. I am thankful to be joined by Mr. Martin Meek on the road, traveling somewhere, I think in Texas right now, in his awesome Everdrive EREV Lightning. How you doing, Mr. Martin Meek?
Doing well. How's Chris tonight?
Dude, I'm living the dream. I got my Turn Down for What studio in full effect. So this is the first episode of Tech Charged in the new studio. So this is exciting for me. And is this the first or the second Everdrive podcast? Is this number 2?
This is probably the second, but the first one it actually. Yeah, are you guys hearing me?
Yep, there we go.
I don't know. Okay, sorry. This is number 2 for Everdrive podcast, but I think it's the first time I've ever actually been running it. So we're actually on a road trip, running Everdrive. For those that don't understand or know what that is, that's charging while we're driving. So it's quite the epic trip, and we're towing across country. That 2,000 miles.
Towing, range extending, all kinds of fun, man. We're going to talk about that tonight. Yeah, it's very cool. And then we've got Chef Miller, Jace Kraft Miller, out there in the kitchen, podcasting. We're going to get it all done tonight, man. We're going to see what kind of confections we've got going on. Last time, we tried to catch the Kraft Miller studio on fire with a sign. Tonight, we're going to see what kind of fire we can start in the kitchen. Adventures await.
I forgot about that.
What are you making for us tonight, Mr. Jace?
Right now, we're working on green bean casserole and garlic or butter for the turkey. So we're done. Yeah.
So chime in the comments with what you guys are doing or cooking up for your Thanksgiving. We've got football on the horizon. The kids, my wife, my sister-in-law, they're going to go catch a movie as well tomorrow while I watch some football. And of course, some awesome food. Martin, you're going to be going to Florida tomorrow. What's on your plans?
So we have been building a ICE 21 Mustang for my daughter. She's the one that's been in the Model 3, and she got hit and run in that car a few weeks ago. So she drove it home back to Kansas. We finished up her a gas Mustang. In her situation right now, the gas Mustang's not really working because she doesn't have charging at home, which, as most of us know, if you're not charging at home, it doesn't really work very well. So we're towing a 21 Mustang EcoBoost to Florida. Supposed to be there tomorrow, but if I drive all night, I could be there early in the morning. And swapping, she's got my wife's Mach-E right now. We let her drive that back when she brought it home. So we're going to drive the Mach-E home and the Lightning and all that charging while driving and towing. First time ever there's been a Lightning towing across country with a charger or a generator on the back that's charging at 11.5 kilowatts.
Nice.
Yeah, it's exciting, man, to see you out there. Is this your second or third different generator you've tried for that?
So this is the second generator that I've tried. Zach, who might be listening as well, he's on a road trip as well using that other generator headed from Oklahoma to Winter Park, Colorado. He's actually on a ski trip. So he's charging while driving with a non-tow, and I'm charging while driving with the tow. He's tried a couple of generators. We had a real loud, Ford branded open frame generator to begin with. Didn't really work. The NVH in the cab when you have that in the bed is just horrendous. And so now he bought a 11,000 watt, 11 kilowatt Westinghouse. And I've used that one before, and that gave me on a run without towing, gave me on a 2-hour run about 45 extra miles. Pretty small though, can only get about 6.5 kilowatts out of it because it just didn't have the guts to charge very fast. A lot of things that people don't understand about generators in general is that they don't charge at what they're rated at. A lot of them don't even charge at their continuous rating. When you start doing wanting to power an EVSC, a charger, they just don't put out. But this one's a 16,000 watt that I have on here. So a 16 kilowatt. It's rated at 13 kilowatts continuous. But as a lot of you know, the Emporia charger that we're running it through, the Emporia EVSE hardwired, only does 11.5 kilowatts. So I'm only running this thing at 11.5 kilowatts, which is going to be a kind of an easy task for this generator.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like it's gone full circle where I used to have one of those Westinghouse generators. They're the inverter types, which are quieter and better running, cleaner energy also than the open frame ones. They're a bit more expensive. I know mine was like a mix cross fuel. Like I could do propane, I could do gas, I could do diesel. So you could do, is yours the same where you can do different?
This one is a dual fuel, and I got to get out and unplug the truck here because we're ready to get back on the road, and I will give you guys a little live video of this thing. It's a dual fuel. You can run it on propane or you can run it on gasoline. You get less power when you run it on propane than when you're running it on gasoline. So we are choosing to run it on gasoline, and it's a little easier to refuel on a long trip like that.
Yeah, I think that's funny because that's what I had here at the house before I had the Lightning, was one of those Westinghouse on propane. I had a big propane tank. So when power went out, we would just flip over to the Westinghouse. Then I got the Lightning, so I didn't have to do that anymore. Now we've gone full circle. You got a Lightning powering, or I got a Westinghouse powering a Lightning so that you can tow and go even further on that power. So that's an incredible thing, man. Are you ready to go out there and kind of show it around, or are you still charging up? Getting to the
yeah, I'm at 85%, and we're running a better route planner this time, and it tells me I'm going to make 160 miles on this next run. Let's see what it says here. 165 miles on the next run with 10% remaining when I get there while towing. And that doesn't sound very impressive if you haven't towed much with a Lightning, but 165 miles and having 10% left, it's going to give me about 180, 190 miles of range, and that's at 65 miles an hour. So that's pretty impressive. That gives you an idea that this thing's really juicing it up. So I don't trust it fully yet. I'm using a Better Route Planner premium plan with the connected OBD2 connector. So it's giving me live data from the truck to the navigation system, which no other aftermarket navigation does that. The Ford one does it, but it's real conservative, and as everybody who's run the Ford navigation knows, it can be a bit finicky trying to run it. And I'm sitting at a Tesla station, so unless you've gotten the recent update or you're running a 25 model Lightning, you don't have those in your truck anyway. So can't really run the Tesla stations if you're running an older version of the Ford navigation. So for us, Better Route Planner is the way to go. But I don't trust it yet. I'm gonna let it go to 90% because I want to make sure I don't run out in the middle of the night across the middle of Arkansas or Louisiana.
How cold is it? What's the temp? Ambient temp?
47 degrees. So the cool thing about it is, the first thing you would say is you can't precondition if you're not running either Google Maps or the factory nav. But there's a caveat to that. The generator is putting 11 kilowatts in. So the generator, while I'm moving, is kind of preconditioning the battery. The battery's staying warm. So I pulled into this station, no preconditioning. Tesla station, I pulled in with like 44% and immediately pulled 181 kilowatts. No preconditioning. 47 degrees outside. So that's not cold enough yet that the Lightning should start reacting really negatively, but we'll see. I know that it's going to get colder as we drive on tonight. And so I think that's going to be a side benefit that we hadn't talked about. We hadn't thought of that the generation of power into the truck while you're driving is automatically preconditioning the battery, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and the Lightning does a pretty good job anyway of how it, the thermals on it, and not necessarily always needing to be preconditioned, or it's not as sensitive to it as some of the other EVs out there. Even as sensitive as the Mach-E, which is still, even though they're both, sister vehicles in the Ford lineup, for whatever reason, whatever they've done with that Lightning, it tends to do pretty well in terms of the battery preconditioning, whether it does it or not. It's always great to be able to do it, but
and it's not trucks with heat pumps too. That's the nice part. You would think, we would have saw some big crazy difference, but really, our 22 was great. Same thing. Preconditioning was pretty rare. Even going down West Virginia. You know, we were in cold, or even northern Michigan a few times, you know, and that battery just, it really does a pretty good job of staying, you know, pretty warm for the most part.
So what are you going to unplug at there, Mr. Martin? You going to be able to?
I'm at 87. I think I'm going to let it go to 90. It's only going to need a few more minutes. Still pulling 50 kilowatts.
I'm kind of like you. I just like, we're like, yeah, we got an extra couple 5-10 minutes. Why not just?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a podcast, so why not just let it sit here for a few minutes?
Yeah. We're eating or letting the dogs out still, you know. I mean, and might as well. 83 makes no difference than 80 to us, you know.
I mean, 90 is pretty much when it falls off a cliff anyway. I mean, obviously it takes a big hit at 80, but then at 90 at that point, you're just not. What are you even doing at that point? You might as well be level 2 charging, you know.
Yep. Very true.
It's interesting. I just had a lightning pull in here at the Tesla charger, and it is probably a 4-inch lift on, I think, 18-inch wheels, but like 35-inch tires.
Jeez, man.
It is a monster in Texas, so I'm sure he's getting way worse mileage than normal.
So if he's doing a 4-inch lift, Martin, does that mean he's using some kind of air ride suspension to be able to do that all the way around? Because that rear area,
I don't know, but that truck's lifted a lot. It's not that factory on that truck is not that's not stock.
Yeah, those rear independent rear suspension arms, you usually can't lift that thing that way unless you've done something with air ride or some other kind of modification back there, right?
Yeah, yeah, you'd have to do an extended strut or something to be able to get it up, and even then your angles are going to be off. I know on even on gas trucks it does the same thing, but you get your CV axles at an odd angle that it does not happy with, so they don't last as long on lifted trucks in general.
Yeah, when you pop out there, man, you have to get some video of that if it's still sitting there.
I'll see if I can sneak a video of his.
Have you been doing Tesla charging on your trip the whole way so far? Have you stopped by any Ionas or any of that kind of stuff?
We don't have any of those on this leg. I planned it a couple, 3 different ways on a better route planner, and we had a Francis Energy stop today, the very first stop, which I don't normally like to use. It's not that consistent, and it only pulls 130 max, even from the bottom end. But that was interesting about that charger. The app would not let me add a credit card today. Every time I'd open the payment section, it was crashing the app. So I'd have my wife download the app, put a credit card on hers, and then use hers to get it to charge, because there's a credit card reader on the station. You can't swipe a card. It doesn't make any sense.
So before we talk about the Evercharge and get an update while we wait for you to 90%, I want to get your thoughts on, we've had these different EVs out there about a week ago or so. Everybody was kind of hot and bothered about the Porsche. And that's all exciting and all. Everybody talks about the Lucid Gravity. They love to kind of talk about these $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 EVs, which never really get me super excited because I know that those aren't EVs that I'm going to be out there getting anytime soon. And
$90,000 MSRP truck.
Yeah, we got a good deal on that $90,000 MSRP truck, though. I didn't pay $90,000 for that truck. You know, I got that truck for $70,000, and I put a whole lot of money down on that from a very from my other truck, so it all kind of worked out.
Oh, yeah.
For the record, I owe like $36,000 on that truck, so it's it all, from paying into the last truck. But it's Mercedes of all people came out with their CLA and their CLA 250, which is coming out in 2026, and I was actually really impressed with it, man. Like, it is starting price for the rear wheel drive, which I know if for you guys out there that have snow country, you kind of need the all wheel drive. But being out here in California where we don't really get the snow, I'm perfectly happy with the rear wheel drive. So it starts at 47. With the rear wheel drive, it'll go 374 miles, and that's German miles. So the Germans are typically pretty good with being able to deliver the range that they claim. That's an 85 kilowatt hour battery, which is, not huge. And Now their 0 to 60 time is like 4.8 seconds, so they're not delivering one of these, 3-second 0 to 60s, which I'm again okay with. Like I think we've gotten obsessed with delivering these huge horsepower vehicles that go 0 to 60 in crazy speeds. I don't think the average driver needs that. It is 800 volts, which, so many people have been announcing 400-volt vehicles still, including the newest Teslas and including Rivian R2, including the Ford Universal platform, all 400s. Here is finally an 800 volt vehicle. And I think that's exciting, man. Like, I think it's $47,000 for a Mercedes that goes 374 miles and charges. Oh, I left this out. It can charge at 300 kilowatts and do like 10 to 80 in like 18 minutes or something. Like, I feel like that's the first time I've heard somebody announce a vehicle. No, we popped you guys out of there. We popped you guys out of the studio. What happened there?
Yeah, that was weird. Martin left and then my sound killed. I was still in, but for some reason it killed my sound when Martin dropped.
So I don't know if you guys, I think we still lost Martin's sound there. I don't know if
Martin's sound's still gone. No, he's
Yeah.
not on mute. Yeah.
Can you hear us, Mr. Martin, or do you have to pop back out again? He's popping in, popping out. We're trying to work on some technical difficulties with Martin.
Well, what just happened? Stranger Things just premiered, so every server known to man might be a little overloaded.
We're going up against Stranger Things. That's what's happening. We're doomed. We're doomed. We're not going to get any views.
2 or 3 year wait or whatever.
Oh my goodness! Thank you to everybody that's not watching Stranger Things. We shouldn't have said anything. Everybody's gonna start dropping off. Stranger Things is on.
Good point. No, actually, it's delayed. It's delayed.
Yeah. So I don't know if you.
It is impressive. I was seeing a few things because we have Ben's and Bow Ties is right here in North Olmsted here.
Oh.
He's very big in the Mercedes world, and AMG Jared, who also used to work there, he's in the Cleveland area as well. So I was watching the videos that he was putting out on it, and looks like a great product. He seems really excited about it too. I don't want to speak for him, but based on the videos and stuff I've seen, they really had to run some big deals on those previous EVs to get them to move. And I think they see this as a vehicle that they can move without having to take. I mean, some of those EQSs I've seen like $55,000+ off, MSRP on those. That's wild to get, to try to get that car to move. Plus the 7,500. I mean, they were crazy deals. So I think they're excited to have a vehicle that they can sell without having to make, put so many incentives on it.
Yeah, it seems like they came in at a decent price. It's got now. I mean, the caveat to these things at 800 volts is that the big charging giant out there, the Tesla superchargers, can't charge at 800 volts. So you're still going to be charging at, I think initially, you got to wait till the spring. They were saying they're going to have a version come out in the spring that has a DC to DC converter that will help with those 400 volt speeds. So you're not going to get the big numbers out of a Tesla supercharger. You're going to have to be at an Iona or at a Power Up America. Shout out to our partners, Josh and Jesse, as they start to open up their chargers in Kentucky. And big announcement, they got some locations in Georgia that are on the horizon, some in Tennessee on the horizon. So we will see some Power Up Americas out there that will support it. But there's other chargers out there, Electrify America. I don't know how that'll work because you'll have to have an adapter. I don't know if those adapters will support getting up full speed at 800 volts. We'll have to check with our partners at A to Z now. We've gotten so used to having the wall of adapters that I have everywhere. I'm going to have to get an A to Z adapter to see if they have one that goes the opposite direction now from CCS to NACS, and start doing some videos on that. Now that my wife has the Y, we'll have to reverse this and see what those things are rated at. I honestly don't know how those are rated.
Speaking of charging, we actually just added an interesting new charging provider I had not maybe once or twice heard of, but not much. The Ohio Turnpike just partnered with a company, which was really interesting actually, because the Ohio Turnpike previously had partnered first with Electrify America. They added, I want to say like 4 stations total ish. It's a bit odd because they have to do eastbound and westbound, so they have to add stations on each one. Then they, after that, partnered with Tesla and added multiple Tesla superchargers, same sort of numbers as the Electrify America. And then there were kind of some in the middle that didn't have any. But long story short, they partnered with a new company called Apple Green. Have you heard of them at all out there?
I've heard of them in New York on the turnpike out there. They're the biggest provider of those little, I don't know if they're called bodegas or whatever they're called, that are off the turnpike that they run there. And
oh yes, we did see those, I think, when we were on our way to Chicago. Okay, yeah.
So they're really
they
big.
must partner with like turnpikes, because that seemed to be something that's in their wheelhouse. So
yeah, and I only really know about them because I've seen them on like Tom Malogny videos or on spec videos when they do some of those drives and stuff out there. I've seen them mentioned as charger stops along the turnpikes out there in New Jersey, New York, and that kind of northeastern corridor. So I do think that that's what they're best known for, is being in those turnpike circumstances. But I don't have any of them out here in the West Coast at all.
okay, yeah. And they partnered with I think it's those Alpatronic machines.
Alpatronics.
Yep.
Those guys are killing it, man.
Iona, yeah, the Iona ones. They have the NACS and CCS, so pretty cool. It was interesting actually. I'm gonna go visit the site because it's really actually only like a mile and a half from our house. And that site was one of the newer Tesla supercharger sites that we had actually tried to go charge at with Ford, and it wasn't working. And Ford was like, "Oh, it's gonna work soon." And so it ended up being like 2 years later before it actually got activated. And so I was kind of surprised to see them add Apple Green chargers at the same stop where the Tesla superchargers already are.
Let's check out Martin there. Do we get any audio yet from you, Martin? I can see you got your nice Tesla red Ford Lightning going on there. It matches.
Yeah, I'm having trouble doing this with one hand, so give me a minute, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get a little walkthrough of what we've got going on there with Martin. So he's, for those of us, or for those of you guys just joining us, what you're looking at here is Martin is towing this Mustang that he has rebuilt for his daughter, which is beautiful. You can't really appreciate at night this black Mustang with the matte black or gray stripes that he's got on here that are just gorgeous, man. And so he's towing this here with his Everdrive system that is basically an EREV that he's got here on his Lightning that he has co-developed with buddy Patrick. And this thing is just...
Zach has been kind of instrumental in the software engineer. Yeah. So this is I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera. Probably showing backwards.
No.
Is it showing backwards for you guys?
Nope. Can see it perfectly, man.
It must be the StreamYard thing. So 16,000 kilowatt. It's a Duramax. This thing does 13,000 running watts. It does have all your standard controls like a regular generator, but I can control everything. We have this thing wired. I'll give you a shot inside the truck where it actually interfaces with the truck. So if you look up in here past all my mess, there is a J1772 port installed in the bed of the truck, and then right below it is a little 2-pin connector, and that connector actually allows me to remotely start and operate that generator from the cab of the truck through car scanner. So we have car scanner wired in such a way that you can actually run the generator from the truck. You can start it, you can stop it. It has auto start stop if you want to do it like at a mile per hour. So it just depends on how you want to do that.
Yeah, I think it's ingenious, man. I love how it sits there now on the trailer too, because before you had it residing in the bed of your truck, and now you've got it sitting back there, right there, perfectly situated.
Yeah, this works pretty well. We've got little brackets on the trailer, so it's out of the way. It only weighs about 350 pounds, so it really didn't add much weight to the truck. We do have a cord for this trip running up over the bed. Planning to change that. The original design was to put the generator in the bed, so obviously the port going in the bed worked pretty well. But we're going to end up moving it down here kind of next to where you would normally see your port for your trailer plug. So we'll end up moving that down there and have it as an option so you can mount it in your bumper. That way the generator just plugs in there real close. And if I can flip this camera around again, I'll show you guys exactly what we're using to charge with. It's not exactly easy to do this when you're... So this is the actual, you know, I'm sure everybody has seen these. Just an Emporia hardwired charger that's then plugged into the generator up here. But it's, of course, we've branded it Everdrive, but that Emporia charger is just mounted to the side of the trailer.
Now, do you think when you go to move the connector, any thought to switching it over to a NAX connector? Because you got a smaller connector at that point, less, or do you like the J1772?
That's true, but we need the J1772 connector because it has more pins, so more communication between the generator and the truck.
Okay.
So NAX connector only has 3 pins, J1772 has 5. And those extra wires that we're only using the J1772 connector because it's convenient. Really just any way to pass power through that. Those connectors are widely available. You can kind of get them everywhere. That's a good way to do that. That's why we're doing it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know if I was talking about that lightning. I don't know if it'll show it here in the background, but.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Kind of hard to see it, but
Nice.
it looks good. It's a lifted, you know, on like some chrome wheels or something.
Antimatter blue looks like, or black?
I think it's the graphite. What do you call that color? Gray?
Oh, carbonized gray? No.
Yeah, carbonized gray. I think it is.
The camera. It looks darker.
Hey, I hate to walk over there and like video the guy.
Yeah.
He may not want to be on the show.
Yeah.
But you just don't see lifted lightnings very often. And it's lifted in the rear as well as the front. So
yeah.
Well, let me get rolling back on the road here, and then I'll pop back to you guys here in just a second.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
good.
cool, man. It's just great to see that update on Everdrive and see it in the wild, see it actually in use. It's very cool. I love the update you've done with it. It's really cool to see it actually there on the trailer. I think that actually works out, and it keeps the noise away too. And
Yeah.
I think it isolates the vibration. It's an interesting. And I think the time to use it is when you're towing. You're going to have a trailer anyway, so there's a lot of benefit to having that be the setup.
Yeah, and I think there's so many benefits to that, right? If you are towing and it's a camper, you can fill that up without having to, and you could charge your truck while you're sitting at the campground if you didn't have another way to do so, So, yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of those trailers that have the campers, they'll have a thing in the front for propane and for other things up front. So I wonder, just depending on the space there, how easy it would be to modify those and fit generators there. Just so many possibilities. We'll have to see. It's always amazing to see how creative people can get with these types of things. For me, I'm always gonna rather just be all electric myself, but I'm not towing anything. I got the pavement princess truck for sure, and
Right.
I'm more a hotel guy than I am a campground guy. It's been many years since I have been laying down on a campground somewhere, but I just think I've seen the number of people that do tow, and I've seen how hard it is, and really other than the Silverado, man, all the trucks struggle with trying to get the miles out there. So I think it's going to be interesting to see this thing continue to evolve and to see how creative people get with it. And I know there's a lot of people that have interest, a lot more people like the EREV concept, really. I mean, we've seen it with Scout. We've seen it with so many of these people that with the Dodge Rev. It's really the EREV that people want to start with, it seems.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, the Silverado is great, other than the charge port location. It does give you so much more mileage, but I still think that even Everdrive or an EREV concept is going to be more popular. At least for now, until maybe some breakthroughs come or whatever. But I think really, as we saw, like with Scout, everybody's like, yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. And we know the pros and cons to that, right? We've talked about it many times on this show. Some people say it's the worst of both worlds, and I mean, I like it better than the plug-in hybrids. I mean, I think at least you're getting the benefits of the EV, powertrain. You're not your locomotion's not coming from an ICE engine, right? So I like that about it, but yeah, I
I'd
mean
like to live with it a little bit, Jace. I'd like to drive one and live with it and see just
yeah,
exactly how it is to kind of live with that every day and see what that looks like. I don't know if that's going to be like you said, the worst of both worlds or the best of both worlds. For me, most of the time, I
yeah.
don't want electric. And there's another lightning. There's lightnings everywhere down here, guys. I've passed 8 lightnings today. It
Wow.
has been the truck on the road. That truck that I just showed you, the carbonized gray one that was there charging, that's got a Florida 30-day tag.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that truck is he just bought it. So that guy, if
Yeah,
he's on the podcast or online, maybe we'll catch up with him or something, because it's definitely new to this
that's
guy.
cool.
I think you got a little loud there, Mr. Martin. I don't know if that's just my
It
headset.
it might be. I don't know. The generator might be causing some noise. I don't know, guys. I'll try to see
No
if I
worries.
can mute between.
No, you're good. No worries.
No, it was just more your audio, your microphone volume got louder.
Oh, let me. Yeah, I can talk quieter if that helps. That might
Yeah,
make when
that's
I'm not
better.
yelling at the camera. You know how sometimes you get on the phone and you're just like trying to yell at your mother and you don't realize it.
Yep, no worries. But yeah, I mean, I think, if you're towing big time, I mean, I think it's hard to say, oh, I'm gonna get anything but a diesel. But, I mean, some people love to do it too. So
Yeah,
I
not
know
for
they like,
me. I'm making this work. The effects and the benefits of the lightning towing across country, as long as you're not towing over 12,000 pounds.
yeah,
And I know Ford rates it at 10. I've towed a lot heavier than that, but it's just the truck to do for me. I mean, it's there's nothing better
yeah.
other than maybe a Silverado, and I have not cross country towed with a Silverado yet, so I'd like to try that just to see what that 200 plus kilowatt battery can do and how the truck handles it because it's heavier. The nice thing is with the Lightning is you have a truck that's manageable, it's affordable, it's cheap to drive at home. I think that's really the benefit where it shines and why it's still the number one truck out there.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Well, what else do we have going on there, guys? Now that we got Martin down on the road, what's next on our topics for the holidays?
Yeah, I
I
don't
can
know. Anybody doing any other road trips? We're not road tripping until Christmas, really. So I'm excited to get some time on the new tires, though, and wheels. I've got, a little bit bigger of poke, so my wheels are sticking out a little bit more than they were before. So we'll see if that really affects things. So far, it's been pretty good. I think the tires help to offset that as well. They're really good rolling resistance, and I keep them a little bit filled up. So we'll see. It'll be our first kind of winter road trip too, really with the heat pumps as well. So kind of be fun to see how that all goes.
Yeah,
You know,
we're staying local. We're staying home. We got family coming over here, so that's
I think
nice.
this is the first Thanksgiving I've not been home in, I don't know that ever. I know 16 years ago today, my daughter was born. She's 16 today. So I spent that Thanksgiving in the hospital. But other than that, in 46 years, I believe this is the first Thanksgiving I've ever not been at home. Uh, and what better way to do that than road trip a Lightning, especially when you're doing an EREV situation.
Yeah,
But
I love it.
I don't know. The guys who don't buy into the EV thing, especially the EV towing, probably think I'm crazy. And I am yeah, and all the wives too, especially mine. But we are a little crazy, but we love the experience and stuff. One thing I didn't go over a minute ago, Chris, and I probably should. We talk about this, like what's the reason we're doing it is to extend range. Well, I didn't talk about how far we have went today with the range extender. Uh, First run from our house, it was 57 degrees when I left. No, 37 degrees when I left the house. 57 when we arrived at our destination, which was 174 miles from point A to point B. We were running 75 miles an hour with a little bit of headwind. So for those of you that have towed in the wind with a trailer, will understand that that's a pretty good feat. You can slow down to 65 or 55 and do that, depending on the trailer. But to get 160 plus at speed is to me, that's a pretty big feat.
Any idea how many charging stops do you figure you've skipped by being able to do that?
I don't know. Well, I did. Yeah, actually, I did. I run a better route planner with the generator in and with the generator out. And early on, there's a lot of math that goes into that you have to figure out how much are you adding, how much time are you saving. This Florida trip, it's showing 2 charge stops, so it should save me an hour and a half. To be honest, that's not impressive, like move the needle, go it from 10 to 5. What it can do is those long stretches where you're afraid you're not going to make it when you're towing, it kind of eliminates those. I don't have any range anxiety right now. You know, we're going to run this next one. I charged the 92%. The next one is 162 miles away. It says I'm going to get there with 16%, but we're going to run 65 miles an hour for the rest of the night, partially because it's you know, I'm a little bit, this is new. The other part is I'm in deer country and it's during the rut. And so the deer are running like crazy. I want an opportunity to be able to slow down.
Yeah, I think
I've heard a lot of people hitting deer recently. It is wild.
Yeah, I think anytime you can take and avoid a stop or 3, you know, that's going to be a huge benefit. We were just talking about hitting deer when we talked about FSD as being one of the big benefits. I think that's one of those things that I'm curious how it does with.
Yeah, I am. I got a friend who just put it in his Lightning, and I would like to bring him on. And Jason said he would be willing to come on. He just put it in his Lightning, and he's not a Brandon Flash kind of guy, so he won't have all the technical. But I think it would be interesting to hear a guy who knows some stuff but is not that technical live with Kama every day. And honestly, it's the next thing I'm going to buy for my truck after visiting with him, because Kama lets you run hands-free on basically all roads.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere that you could lane center, it does it. So he's running it through all his local roads, and I need to validate that, you know, when I get it myself. But it's, you know, I don't have a Blue Cruise road for me within an hour, and I'd like to be able to run Blue Cruise on some, or hands free on some of these 2-lane roads safely, not with the hack that you do to your steering wheel. I don't think that's safe at all. But Kama does a really good job of that.
We just had Sergio join us over here in the comments, man. Good to. I don't think we've ever had Sergio chime in. That's awesome.
Serge, been a while.
I'm over here like double commenting here on all the channels.
Yeah, the man who knows how to tow across country.
Yeah,
knows what it's like to tow a Lightning across country.
I'm curious what you think, Sergio, man. Like, would you want to add an EREV component? You've only really you've been dedicated to just going electric, man. Like, it'd be curious what you would think about an EREV, or if you just, you know, if you just don't.
So I don't. Just so we're clear, I'm doing this out of necessity. I think the generator on the back of this truck is helping, and it's certainly adding to my experience. You know, I do got to pull into a gas station to buy fuel. I would rather put a battery in the bed of the truck. The trick to range extending a Lightning with the battery is, how do you charge both batteries? So at some point, you're going to have to connect 2 systems, or you're going to charge twice as long. The beauty of that Chevy that Sergio has, or any of them, is that they go of that 800-volt architecture, and it charges twice as fast. That's the tough part about range extending a Lightning using Everdrive that we have, because you can use our Everdrive module and connect a battery to it the same as you can a generator. It just needs a 240-volt source. And we have about half of our clients right now are people that are wanting to sign up for the pilot program, are wanting to range extend with batteries, not a generator. guys who already own batteries, and that'll, say if your trip is on an extended range, if you put 50 kilowatts worth of battery or 30 kilowatts worth of battery in the bed, you just made it a 350, 400 mile range truck on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun to see what Sergio would do with one of those.
Well, we're definitely we're gonna put a pilot program together and try to get these out there in hands of users that are like a beta testing, that'll allow people to kind of find the corner conditions and test it alongside us. Zach and I are not quite ready for that yet, but it is coming. That's what's going to start off.
Well, it
Yeah,
kind
what
of
do
got me
you-
thinking, Martin. I was thinking like you could also have people that bought this system that don't necessarily want to charge while they drive, but they
That's right.
want something that they can just buy that is a kit ready to go so that they can charge when they're sitting at the campground or whatever.
Well, the feedback, because you can always charge at the campground. You don't need Everdrive to charge at the campground per se, because you can connect
Right,
it to your
depending on the
front.
campground, sure.
Right, but this does add a J1772 port at the back of the truck. So if there's an issue with length or something, you could buy the kit, and you can then charge in the back of the truck at home. Like I can pull my
Yeah.
Lightning into the garage and just plug it into the back port, and it works the same.
Yeah.
So all
That's
this,
very
there's a lot of
interesting.
safeties and interlocks and stuff that we have designed into this, so you can't charge too. But when the charge port door opens, it deactivates everything Everdrive. It turns it completely off. So as long as that charge port door is closed, the Everdrive module will work. It will accept power. It will charge the truck on the back, just like you would if you're plugged in. In fact, all of our testing at the shop happened with a Tesla, with an adapter, a Tesla level 2 charger. We just plug it in the bed.
Pretty cool.
You got Matt
my,
joining us
Oh,
in the
Matt's here too.
comments.
Cool.
Got
Am I losing you guys
Sergio.
video and audio, or is it still holding in
Nope.
there?
No, you're doing great, man. It's rolling
So
strong.
I have better cell service running down the middle of Texas than I did back when I had T-Mobile at the house.
Yeah. Did you bring Starlink with you? Just
No, we didn't buy the Starlink Mini. We just bought the big dish, and it's kind of a mess. I started to do the Mini, but I don't road trip that much when I'm trying to podcast, so I didn't think it was worth it.
Yeah. Well, my latest and greatest project has been getting rid of our last gas car. So that video is going to be posting on Friday. So I pulled the two of them into the driveway side by side and kind of went through.
Is that blue, Chris? Is your new Tesla blue?
Yeah. The Model Y is blue. And you can I kind of lined them up like nose to nose, like they are remarkably similar sized, actually. The Y you can see is shorter, but lengthwise and widthwise, they are pretty much identical. I mean, there's like an inch or two difference between the Ford Edge and the Model Y. And it's interesting to see how the car engineers have used that space entirely differently. So what I do is
Now, is your car a 7 or a 5-seater?
They're both 5-seaters. Yeah, they're both 5.
Okay. I know they make the Y in a 7.
They do. Yeah, but it's such a weird configuration to try to get 7.
That's interesting you said that, because for the first time we added another Model S to the fleet about 3 weeks ago.
It's got those rear seats with the glass.
It's got the rear seats that fold down into that rear trunk. Those are not for adults. I don't know if you've ever been in around one of those. I got in the back seat of that thing and tried to close the top. Not happening.
No. It's definitely not for adults. And I kind of go through and I compare these different, even these really, the back seats you can definitely get adults back there, of course. But even them, it's interesting how they are different for different types of adults. Like the width of the back seat of the Edge, or really the width of the entirety of the Edge, is better than the width of the Y. and it has to do with the aerodynamics and the shape of the Y. So the way that they take, and if you kind of look at it's probably harder here actually than it is from the back of the Y, but the way that the Y kind of curves in, and the wheel wells flare out versus the side of the edge where it just kind of slopes down more boxy. The edge is taller and wider interior wise than the Y, and it was interesting. So I walked through both cars. I show the back space, but then when you go to like the cargo room area of the back, the Y is considerably deeper than the Edge. But then the Edge has a little bit more leg room in the rear passenger seat.
Those, so don't you find those mysteriously large for the size of the car? Even the Model S has fold down back seats, and you can put a lot of stuff. I put like a 65-inch TV back there with a few seats folded down in one of those Model S's. It's crazy.
When you take the Y and you fold down the seats and you look at the expanse that the Model Y has, and you've then got the rear storage underneath, like the sub trunk area, and then
that's a game changer.
Trunk. Yeah, there's a ton of space in the Model Y.
Yeah, the S is the same way. It's got that sub floor area that you don't get on a normal car because there's a gas tank or a spare tire or something. That trip to California, that when I came and saw you in that S, was just, it was crazy. And the early Model S's, the frunk is huge. I know on the newer stuff.
Your S has that deep recessed area too that goes back in there.
Yep. On the early ones.
I go through and I show exactly what you just talked about, Martin. Like I go through and I lift where the Model Y has the sub trunk area, and then there's an area on the edge, and that's where the spare tire is. Of course, the Tesla doesn't have a spare tire, so you don't have that storage area. You got the engine compartment, which obviously isn't in the Y, so you've got all that extra area. And then I just kind of go through and I show there's little things, for example, like when you sit in the front passenger area of the Edge, the way that the glove compartment protrudes out compared to how it's almost flush on the Y gives you like tremendous knee room on the Y that doesn't exist on the Edge. But again, just for whatever reason, if you're a wide body person like me, the shoulder width is so much nicer on the Edge. Like I can go from side to side on the Edge and I don't feel quite as constrained. So yeah, it's interesting. And then the Edge has a weird thing in the back seat though, where my legs feel kind of shoved up into my chest a bit more than the Y. So it's almost like if you're a wide person, the Edge feels way better. If you're a tall person, the Y feels a lot better. And then, yeah, the space, the Edge has a lot more height to it and a lot more width to it into the cargo space, but the Y has a lot more depth to it. So I kind of go through all of those different uses of space, and then I take the Edge and I go down and I fill it up with gas, and I show, the gas prices, and I talk about how much does it cost. And essentially it costs $35 to gas it up for the equivalent of 200 miles. So the Edge gets 20 miles to the gallon, and we filled it up to the equivalent of what would get it 200 miles of gas, and it's going to be $35. And then I show, if I were to charge up the Tesla for the equivalent 200 miles, it's $17. And then I talk a little bit about the solar panels, of course, which in that case can be as little as free, or depending on what time of day, it can be discounted. And then I talk about the oil change and the transmission fluid and the cost with that. And then we talk a little bit about the time savings. Kind of one of the things people talk about is the time it takes to charge an electric vehicle versus how quick it is to fuel it at a gas station. And I think what people, they always think about what you're doing now, Martin. They think about the time you sit at a supercharger.
Road trip.
But that's the outlier, you know what I mean? That's not the way most people are charging their vehicle. So I kind of give the example of, hey, look, I just unplug, or I just take my charger, I plug it into my car, and I walk into my house and I'm home. That's it. And if you're going to your gas station, it's not always on the same street that you live on. You're oftentimes having to drive out of the way to an area of your town where the gas station is, Then you're having to drive back to your house again. And if you add the time it takes to go out of your way to the gas station and then back to your house and the time you're taking all together, you could be spending 20, 25 minutes to fuel up your tank with gas. And when you're thinking about the road trip that you're on now, for example, a lot of times the night before you go and you take your car, you drive the night before and you fuel up your tank all the way, and then you come back home again. You didn't have to do that last night. You plugged in your truck, you were fueled up to 100%, and you woke up in the morning and you were done. You didn't have to go anywhere the night before. Yep. So all of those things over the course of a year, right? Over the course of all of the times, week after week after week of not going to the gas station at all, not having to go out of your way to a different part of town to where the gas station is to begin with, and then having to go back to your house, much less the 5 to 6 minutes it takes to gas it up. All of that cumulatively is the time waster that you're saving. So I talk a little bit about that as well in the video. So that'll all be posting on Friday morning. So you guys can look forward to that as we get ready to sell the Edge, and we talk about why we're selling it. And we will be fully electric at that point. So that'll be really cool.
So Chris, I have a question for you on this. Because that's exactly my daughter just went the other way. So the reason for this road trip specifically is she has a Model 3, which is essentially the sister to the Model Y. And she's kind of done with the whole charging thing because she doesn't have that advantage of charging at home. She doesn't have a home charger where she's living in Florida. And going to an ICE Mustang to get back to gasoline. But I'll tell you, I think she's going to be really disappointed with the performance and just the overall experience of this. It's a 21 EcoBoost Mustang coming from a 22 Tesla Model 3. They're light years in difference in tech. But I'm curious what your wife thinks about going to something that doesn't have your traditional knobs and buttons. That was the one complaint that my daughter had about the Model 3 after living with it for some time. She's had it for, I don't know, a year or two. She doesn't like the fact that everything she has to do is just to get in that screen to do. There's no door lock button on the side of the doors. So what does she think about that as far as an environment?
Hasn't been an issue. Yeah, the adjustment period seems to have taken maybe a week. She loves I think the regenerative braking with a one pedal drive, I think is the thing that she has appreciated the most, just from a safety aspect and just being able to, and she had been exposed to that a bit already with the Lightning. So that wasn't entirely brand new to her, but just once you live with that every day, I think that is more than anything.
And my daughter had that same experience. She had never been in a one pedal drive. And when she first drove the Tesla, said, I want to turn this off. How do I turn that off? And I told her, just give it a week.
Yeah.
Because you're going to change your mind. Now in a Tesla, you can't turn it off. And after having it, she crawls back in a gas Mustang. Like this Mustang, I find myself rolling through intersections when I was driving it because you're used to it. We're regenerative braking and it doesn't have it at all. In fact, if you put it in gear and just let your foot off the brake, it moves.
Yeah. Yeah. So that wasn't an issue. I'll have to go back and ask her about as far as navigating through all the menus of the Tesla and trying to find stuff. But I think once she got her like Amazon Music, which is what she uses, some people use Spotify. I use actually YouTube Music. In her case, she uses Amazon Music. So once she got her Amazon Music set up, got where the garage door is set up. So pretty much she pulls up and the garage door recognizes the car and it opens. And then when she pulls out of the garage, it recognizes that it's, 10 feet away and it closes. And all of those little things that Tesla does so well.
So how did I'm curious, did you guys drive a Mach-E before you bought the Model Y?
No.
Was that just basically driven from the lease deals or that was the main driver?
Yeah, it was driven from the lease deals. I looked at Mach-E lease deals, and I also looked at the Honda Prologue lease deals, and shame on Honda because they had some good Honda Prologue lease deals, and I reached out to a couple different Honda dealers and got such a horrible experience, such a horrible runaround on just them trying to couldn't answer the question on whether they had it in inventory, couldn't answer the question of whether that was the right model, couldn't answer the question of whether they were honoring that lease deal that was online and was advertised. And they just kept wanting me to drive in, right? Wanting me to go there. And these dealers were not close. And so I'm like, I'm not doing this. I want to do this before I show up. Like, I want to know, like, if I show up with my wife and have her drive it and make sure it's something she wants, I want it to pretty much, excuse me, I want it to be pretty much a done deal that, you know, it's handled, which is what we did with Tesla. I mean, we drove all the way to Gilroy, and it was a done deal at that point.
It's what you did with the Lightning halfway across the country.
Right, absolutely. And so I'm like, look, you can make a sale here. If there's a sale to be made, if you would like to make it. And 2 different Honda dealers, which, you know, I'm sure they made the sale anyway. Here in California, you're going to make that sale regardless. So which is part of why I went all the way to Tennessee to buy my Lightning, because in California, they put 0 effort into making the sale. And so it was, you know, in that circumstance, I had frequent flyer miles saved up, and I used those to get on a plane, and I made an adventure out of it. And it's sad that you have to, you know, fly 2,500 miles to get a deal.
Yeah, it is. Because you have a dealer right down the road from you that could have had that business.
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny because I was there's a guy at the 49er game that's a season ticket holder, and he is an owner. I know a DG guy. I know a guy that is a big 49er, huge 49er season ticket holder that has a Volkswagen group also. And I know a guy that's a Ford guy. There's money to be made in the auto dealership game in California, and 3 of them are season ticket holders with the 49ers, and I see them every game. And the Ford guy was like, "Hey man, why didn't you call me about the Lightning?" And then I told him the deal, and he just walked away. He's like, he couldn't have. I mean, he could have matched it, but he wasn't gonna. He didn't need, you know, he doesn't have to. He wasn't gonna come anywhere near what these guys in Tennessee did for me. And I just unfortunately I knew that.
Supply and demand, right? Yeah. I mean, the Tennessee buyer evidently is not as aggressive as the California buyer.
Yep. Yeah. So, you know,
in Ford, there's regional deals with that too. You know, I mean, they will literally make a deal based on regionality. You might not have the what they call it. For us, it was the red carpet lease offer, and it just so happened to be that month. The month I bought mine, not the month we bought Justin's, unfortunately, but the month that we bought mine, it was a $9,500 credit that month, and only for 2024s. But and it was only for leases. But
yeah,
that was, I mean, that turned a $90,000 truck, like you, into 70, a little less.
Yeah, that's
that, and some other, with everything else combined on top.
That's some of the complications with the dealer networks. Is I reached out before I did anything. I reached out to Colma, the city of Colma. I reached out to my Fremont Ford group. I reached out to the guy with the 49ers. None of them were making. I didn't even reach out about a Platinum. I was just reaching out about Lariats, and I was looking at used. I was looking at all kinds of different lease deals. None of them had deals. Yeah, and I reached out to Jace and his contacts out there near where he was, and just kind of scoured everywhere. And then it is very regional. And then this group and
timing, with turnover and model year. Like, I think the 25s were already out, so I think I bought mine 7 days before the 25s launched, so it could not have been better timing other than the circumstance. But it was good timed for us, and we saw the difference too, because we just bought one only 4 weeks later, or at least another, and the deal was not
as good.
It was still a good deal, but it wasn't that deal, so
yep.
Well, the reason I asked you that, Chris, about the Mach-E versus the Prologue, or did you drive anything else, is my daughter has been in this Model 3 for a year or so, and we let her take our Mustang Mach-E back to Florida when she got a hit and run, left it in Kansas. And she has said she likes the Mach-E way better than the Tesla as far as the experience. And I think we've heard this before. So what's interesting is we have a Model 3 driver going to a Mustang Mach-E, and then my wife's been driving the Mach-E for quite some time, and even has been in Lightnings. And for the last 2 or 3 weeks, she's been driving the Model 3, and she's sitting here, but I think she likes the Mach-E better than the Tesla. I think it's just, there's things about it that it's just easier to do. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you like the Model 3 better?
No, I like the Mach-E better, and it feels more solid. Also, I can't. The Mach-E is more intuitive in that I can most of the time figure out, how to drive it or how to roll down the windows, or it's got some buttons. I don't know how to do the wipers on the Tesla. Everything is
Nobody
a mystery to try to figure out how to use everything.
Even Tesla
It
doesn't.
just gets tiring to not be able to get from point A to point B without having to take a college course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And I think what you learn it, if you're real tech infused and you're like into that stuff, it's pretty easy. Because let's be honest, the Lightning is not as easy to drive as an '85 Ford pickup. I mean, it's got its quirks that you kind of have to know how to route plan and navigate.
Well,
But
in the similar vein, I think we see a lot of people say that they like the 12-inch screen better on the Lightning than the 15-inch.
I've
And
heard
I
that.
think that's the exact same reasons, because I think it's just
it's actually
easier,
narrower.
it's more familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's narrow. It's narrower. So I had Zach in here helping me program this new Everdrive module a couple nights ago, and he liked the 12-inch screen better because it's a wider screen, and you still get all your traditional buttons and knobs for your radio and AC and climate controls. And I think Zach's going to end up buying the XLT long range that we have at the shop right now. Due to that, he's ready to upgrade his truck and do that. It's funny. I don't know if you guys knew this. I don't know if it's public or they don't advertise it, but Avis rents Lightnings, at least in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Interesting.
So he found that out, and he rented a 24 standard range XLT from Avis and drove it to Florida, and he's on a road trip right now in it going to Colorado. Mostly it's the same truck he currently owns, but he did that just to keep miles off of his, and I just had no idea. I'd never seen a rental car place that rented a Lightning.
Yeah, I haven't either. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think
they have 4 of them in Tulsa.
I think the rental places have figured out how to make money on some of these EVs. When with the Bright Drop, when they stop selling those, I don't think I'm sharing anything I'm not supposed to share. But if I am, I mean, there's only like 100 people that listen, so I'm probably okay. We tried to reach out to Chevy and try to buy some of those Bright Drop vans when they announced that they were going to stop. Some rental company came and scooped up a bunch of them. So, like, we're kind of like, man, that was a big thing for us. These Bright Drop vans that we were using. There's not. Maybe the Mercedes Sprinter vans are kind of a similar size. We won't use the Rivians.
Rivian's too big, or
no? It's the branding. It's Amazon. You know what I mean? It's like Pepsi's not going to use Coke. We're not going to use. FedEx won't use a Amazon van.
Yeah.
Even though it's a great van, because it's just tied. It is an Amazon Rivian connection is so close that from a branding perspective, we just wouldn't put our logo on the side of that van. It's silly, you know what I mean?
Do you guys have any Ford Transit e-Transits?
We do. We have Ford e-Transits, but they're not as big as the Bright Drop.
What's the range comparison on those?
So an e-Transit will do. So I've got an e-Transit where I'm at with my station, and it will do somewhere in that 150 to 170 if I'm not going up any hills and I don't have any wind hitting me. So if they're just staying kind of flat, around the towns, we're fine. But if I try to go over the Santa Cruz Mountains, or if I'm trying to go over the bridges where I've got a lot of wind, it really eats into the range. So kind of got to limit what routes. Now we know how many miles our routes are, so we put them on the right routes that make the right amount of sense. But with the Bright Drops, I mean, you can get a solid, 300 miles out of a Bright Drop.
That's what I thought. There's a lot more range on the Bright Drop.
Yep. and so because you're doing a lot of city, a lot of stop and go, a lot of that kind of stuff, you can take a lot of the routes. You only have to charge a bright drop every 2 days, and in your worst case scenarios, it still lasts for the whole day. So the bright drop is a great vehicle. It's got the best range of all the EVs that we use, but it's kind of.
I suspect a lot more money.
It is. It's an expensive.
And probably one of the reasons why GM stopped making it, because they probably had a big old battery in there.
Yeah, so it was disappointing. You know, we really don't have a solution for that. Again, the Mercedes makes a Sprinter van that is similar in size, not quite as good, that we'll probably look at, but there's nobody else that makes really anything like it. The box trucks, the bread truck looking ones that are a bit bigger, there's a few different options there that we certainly have, but yeah, definitely disappointing with that. But yeah, some rental company is going to be buying a bunch of those and renting them out, and makes money that way. So there's money to be made renting these things. I think Hertz and a bunch of others have been renting out Silverados.
Yep, they have that at the Avis as well, where Zach rented his. I almost, if it hadn't been for Everdrive on this trip, I was going to rent that Silverado for this trip so I could try a 4WT. It's just a 4WT, but that way I could try it on this trip to see how it is towing long range with a Silverado. But it wasn't available, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to like the truck as well as the Lightning living with it. And we're obviously testing Everdrive, so this was a big reason.
Yeah, a lot of these companies like Penske, all these kind of places, they know that they can rent out to businesses, too, because those businesses have maintenance that they have to do on a regular basis, and their fleet customers are always on a regular basis having to rent out trucks and rotate inventory and do different things. So they know they can stock these things and rent them out. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer, just to have that thing kind of disappear off the market. And I hope it comes back. Yeah. I hope as things change that it reappears new and improved. You know, maybe some different battery packs and some new technology, and they get the math right on it.
Well, I hope the rental works for them if they have the right customer, because it's a great truck for local deliveries and stuff. You know, if you're wanting to rent it and move things and not spend a lot of money. If you're an EV driver and you need a box truck, I would rent one of those. The tough part about, like, Zach rented that Lightning, Avis has 4 of them. They're on their lot. You can't look it up online. You have to go in there and specifically ask. They're standard range, and the navigation button is grayed out. You cannot use the factory navigation at all. So I'm like, why would you do that? Why for renting a truck? You're putting the Lightning in its worst case scenario, putting somebody in that truck. They really honestly have no business. You can't add it to your app. The Ford Pass is not going to work. You can't start to charge through the app. It's just not a very good situation. So I think the rental car companies don't do a great job. Even when we rented our first Model 3 from Hertz, they kind of handed me the car and said, here you go. You had to figure it out on your own.
Fernando talking about the Volkswagen Bus. Yeah, the ID Buzz is electric, and it's big in Europe. When I was out in Norway and saw a ton of ID Buzzes being used. In fact, they had special license plates to identify the ID Buzz that was being used as a commercial van. So it's really? Still not as it was really cool. It wasn't as still as big at all. You can't stand up in the ID Buzz the way you can stand up the height of it in the cargo space. So yeah,
Chris, I would say the ID Buzz is probably one of the ugliest buses I've ever made. However, with that said, I like the Cybertruck. So
that's an opinion.
Yeah, when you look at opinions,
yeah, that's a bold opinion right there. That's bold.
It is.
Right.
Sergio wants to know, Jace, what you're cooking back there. What do you got going back on the stove?
Yes, sorry, I am cooking green bean casserole right now. So that's what's going down right now. I kind of do like fresh green beans with a mix of the Campbell's soup, so it's like kind of fresh, kind of cheating.
So what time?
Yeah. We lost you there, Martin. What'd you say?
We lost Martin. Yeah.
Yeah, repeat that if you can hear us.
Did you hear me?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I must have got in a spot. I said, what time were you supposed to be there tomorrow? You want to start at 3 or 4 for some green bean casserole?
I was gonna say you better put Everdrive in turbo because you got a long drive ahead of you.
And shame on me. I forgot to put some of these comments up. We had I wish cars were simpler, without all the screens. I think it's funny because, I'll see comments. X is an interesting echo chamber. I don't know if that's the right word, or bubble is the right word, where everybody kind of assumes that Tesla is the only way with their screens and their FSD. And my wife, one of the things, you were asking about was the screen. Well, one of the things that she doesn't care for at all was FSD. And I asked her if she wanted to subscribe to FSD. I had her use it getting to work. She does not care for FSD whatsoever. And there are plenty of people that don't like the screens, don't like the FSD, want the familiarity, want it to feel during, as they transition to electric, they want it to feel familiar. They want it to feel warm. They want it to feel refined. They want it to feel.
Speaking of that, Chris, there's a couple of things. My wife doesn't like Blue Cruise either. It's not her cup of tea. And, you fight those challenges. So I'm going to have to pause the volume in the video for a few minutes. My daughter just tried to call. I rejected the call because we're on the podcast. She can't get the Mustang to charge.
Oh,
for whatever reason, wherever she's at. Yeah, so I'm going to pause and call her back, and I'll be back in just a couple of minutes with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, darn it. That's never fun.
No. Yeah, and then you got to start wondering, hey, is it the charger? Is it the adapter? Does she have an adapter situation? Big shout out to Sergio, man. Thank you for tuning in, Serge. It's always great to hear from you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And happy Thanksgiving to you, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody that's listening in. It's always cool to just to give thanks to you guys that have been joining us for the last year of this part of the podcast with Tech Charged, and really the last 2 years plus with Turned Down for a Watt. And I know Josh and Jesse are getting to a point here with Power Up America. For those that, again, are kind of tuning in late, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but they are preparing to open up their first charging station in Kentucky. They've got their renderings. They're breaking ground here coming up in December, and going to have pull-through chargers and using ChemPower, which is really exciting. I love ChemPower. I think they are right there with Alpatronic as two of the best charging providers out there. So excited to see them. They've got some stuff coming out of Georgia and Tennessee still to come. So they're going to be expanding out there, and we'll be able to talk more about that. Out of Spec Bits, kind of mentioned them actually in today's episode. If you guys hadn't seen that, talked a little bit about them. And Josh had an episode where he was interviewed by Walter on Out of Spec Bits, I want to say a week or two ago. And so that was cool just to hear Josh kind of talk about their plans and their announcements, and that stuff is always fun. Walter does a great job of talking about the charging infrastructure and all of those kind of things. So yeah, it's really fun just to see our little kind of corner of the EV universe, where you've got Jace is doing the cool stuff over on Instagram, and I think, how many followers are you up to? Are you up to like 100,000 followers on Threads now, man? Where are you at on Threads? You're on mute there still, man.
Sorry. Yeah. I think I'm at 131,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just cool to see this little, right? Each of us kind of have our own little corner here where, you've got 131,000 followers on Threads. You got Martin doing his rebuilds channel and coming up with Everdrive, and you got Josh and Jesse, with Power Up America, finally starting to get some traction here and starting to open up their deals. And I'm getting to do my content stuff on my channel, and we're seeing stuff. I've been on Out of Spec a couple times now, and you got Josh getting to be on Out of Spec, and just all these different things kind of coming together. all kind of starting from our Love of Lightning and our little Facebook group, and people that we've had on the podcast before with Sergio and all these different folks that we've had on. Tom has been on, and so many people from the community. And so
Robert, tons of people. So I just think in this time of giving thanks here, the day before Thanksgiving, I wanted to shout out, each and every one of you that are part of the show, including the guests and including the audience and including everybody that's in the comments and the chats and that have tuned into the show and that watches the content that we make on our YouTube channels for Martin and myself, and that are part of the Instagram community for the Friends of Ford for Jace, and for part of the Threads community that follows Jace. And all of us are just grateful and thankful to be a part of it. And we're all just part of the Ford family and part of the EV community. And we might give each other crap for our different brands and our different loyalties. But really at the end of the day, we just love the technology, and we might like different things. But I think it is important that we have that diversity, because each one of us will resonate with a different person, and each one of us might tailor ourselves to a different part of the audience. And I think that's cool. I think that's important. There's not everybody is going to, not everybody is going to be someone that tows a vehicle, or not everybody is going to be a truck buyer. Not everybody's going to be a Tesla buyer. Not everybody's going to be a Mach-E buyer. So speaking of Tesla buyers, or should I say Ford buyers?
Tesla drives a Ford.
Yeah,
had to show you guys.
I noticed that. What team does he play for again? I can't remember.
Lions. Yeah.
Lions. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. He drives. So though, he has it. So for those that don't know, that are listening out there, and Ford scooped him up. Brilliant marketing move, in my opinion. But they actually got him a Lightning, so it's not like he's just driving a regular F-150 or a Raptor, or like I feel like a lot of the guys have. He literally drives an F-150 Lightning. So and they've seen him showing up to the stadium with and stuff. So pretty cool.
Yeah, Brock Purdy for the 49ers has a Toyota sponsorship, and Toyota sponsors the 49ers. So there's a big Toyota truck out in front of the Levi Stadium, and Brock Purdy comes out to the press conference yesterday wearing this Toyota-thon jacket, and I'm just like, God dang it, man! And I keep looking for some way to get an EV. Christian McCaffrey used to have a Lucid Air. But he doesn't have it anymore. So I keep looking for a 49er that I can somehow get on the podcast. And I've yet to have one. There was the old coach, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has an ID Buzz. And,
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And one of the guys that's a season ticket holder of the 49ers, he actually sold him the ID Buzz. And there was going to be an opportunity for me to drive it down and deliver it to Jim Harbaugh. And I was going to try to work something out there, and then the whole thing kind of fell through on the timing. But so I keep looking for that window of opportunity to try to find. But most of the player parking lot, man, it's Raptor R's, it's my box. It is not very electric, but I keep my eye out for that electric 49er person that I can someday. That's my dream.
I can't believe one of those guys is not driving a Plaid.
There are no Plaids. Yeah, there are no Cybertrucks. No Cybertrucks.
There are a lot of athletes usually are bigger guys too. So you got to consider that too. But they love trucks. I'm not even saying just F-150s. I mean, we see Ram TRXs, and they just love those big pickup trucks.
They got Toyota. Brock Purdy gave it to him, but I'm pretty sure Toyota gave it to Brock. I don't think he bought all these. But he gave the entire front line Toyota trucks, or different Toyotas, depending on what they wanted to pick.
I remember seeing that, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of Toyotas out there, and I'm like, these guys are killing me, man. There is a really nice Raptor out there. But there was a Lightning for a short period of time, and I never could figure out who it was. I'm pretty sure it was like a coach or somebody, because I could never see. It was always there before I got there, which told me it wasn't a player. It had to be the players always showed up after me. But yeah, I keep my eye out, man. I keep my eye out trying to find one of those guys that gets electric. Shanahan for a short time had an electric car also, but it's really hard to get to the coach. That guy's
pretty
really
sure.
Well insulated.
I think it's Kelly Clarkson has a Lightning that she uses on her farm.
Yeah,
which is
she was
pretty cool.
on. She was on the podcast with Jim Farley. He has.
Yeah. Yep. Drive
Yep.
podcast. Yeah.
Yes. He's had a bunch of cool people on that podcast, actually.
Yep. Rachel Maddow too. I'm not sure if she's a Lightning or a F-150 Raptor lover, one of the two, but she's a huge F-150 fan. There's a few of them. I love it.
Yep. So one day we will get a 49er on the podcast. That is my mission.
Yeah,
that's
that'd
the
be
goal.
Sick.
George Kittle has a podcast called The Kittle Things, and I did joke with him. I said, "Hey man, we need to do a podcast together. I got dozens of people to add to your millions that you get." And but he does his live with his wife at their house, so it's a different format. But it's but if I joke enough, maybe we can do a collaboration with the Kittles. But it does not seem likely.
I love it. I love it.
Well, guys, anything else before we wrap up the show and get you guys back to your Thanksgiving evening or the night before, I guess?
Yeah, I don't think I have too much to add. I'm excited. I'm doing another turkey tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. We've been using the cheesecloth method. I don't know if anybody out there has tried that before. Very fun. And
does that help with the moisture? Does it covers the...
Yeah, and we do ours on the pellet grill/grill. Sometimes the gas grill, sometimes the pellet, depending on if we're somewhere that has a pellet or a gas grill. It kind of depends. And I have not used the cheesecloth method before, and it definitely helps with the moisture, but it also helps keep the skin from burning, because on the grill it can get a little hot. You don't quite have temperature control like you do like a normal oven. So it really kept the skin perfect, though. It was awesome. So if you're out there and you're wondering how to cook your bird, I recommend cheesecloth.
Cooking with Jace, man, you need to make the channel. I'm telling you, you've got a great kitchen, by the way. That background right
Thank
here
you.
with your stainless steel refrigerator, it looks a little matte, actually, a little like gun.
Yeah,
matte.
they kind of are. Yeah, they're like a black, matte stainless steel KitchenAid. Shout out KitchenAid. I love them.
And then that brick back there,
Isn't it cool?
looks fantastic, man. Look at that.
Yeah,
dude.
it's a cool little. Our kitchen's a little small, I will say. It's not huge. It's definitely cut off. It's not an open floor plan, but it's got a lot of character, which I really like about it.
And you got a great name too, man. Like, not everybody has a great name for a cooking show, but Cooking with Jace, I mean, dude, that's a great name.
I'll give it a go. If you help me edit, I'll do it.
We're gonna make this happen, man.
Let's do it.
Cooking with Jace, powered by the Ford Lightning.
Yeah,
we can tie this in somehow.
I took to the front gate. We took air.
I might watch.
Yeah.
We took a air fryer to the front gate. I cooked sliders, cheeseburger sliders in it, and it was fun. It was cool.
This is awesome, man.
I may
Martin,
take the air fryer tomorrow if I need it.
You got anything new on your channel, Martin, that you've done?
Nothing yet. I'm working on the video for Everdrive right now. And then we're also, like I said, we bought another Model S, and I'm going to try to build this real quick build. Now, the one thing I did find is there's a contactor bad in the battery. So I haven't done any internal battery work on an S on the channel. So watch for that, because I'm going to take this battery apart, replace the contactor.
Oh, Martin's hit a dead zone. He's hit a dead zone, man. Probably going through Louisiana at this point. The Louisiana dead zone.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like you're back.
Yeah, we're in Arkansas, so it's a little sketchy.
Arkansas. Oh, you're over
in
EV Geek.
Yeah, Arkansas right
territory. Now. Yeah, shout out the EV Geek.
I think we're south of there. I think I'm right down in the corner.
So say that again, Martin. You said the contacts.
Yeah. So we have a Model S that's got a battery issue. It's got a low availability on power, and it's showing that the contactor's bad in the battery. I guess those can get weak over time. So we're going to pull the battery out, film tearing that thing down, putting a new contactor in it, which Tesla shows was $110. Put a new contactor in it, put it back together. So that'll be coming next few months. I've got a lot of builds going on, but nothing exciting. a lot of kids' cars, fixing a bumper on the hit and run Model 3 that we just got back from my daughter. The XLT Lightning will be the next build too. I'm going to film and record that one because it's hit on the left side. It was actually one of the Facebook group members, Sam, up in St. Louis. He slid off the snow last winter and tore up the left side. So we'll film how to put a cab corner and a bedside on a aluminum F-150.
Very nice. And what happened with your daughter there? Did you get that figured out as far as the charging?
Yeah, she tried 20 minutes at an FPL, Florida Power and Light, and it never worked. And of course, the minute that I get on the phone with her, it started working. You know,
Oh, there you go, man.
I think
Nice.
that a lot of times with CCS, you just get that communication port pin that's not plugged all the way in. It's not quite as elegant of a plug as the NAX connector, and you have to really fiddle with it to get it to plug all the way in.
Aloha Smitty, shout out, cooking up the coconut shrimp and crab cakes, dude. Crab cakes. Crab cakes was the first thing I ever ate that was like a legitimate food when I was like adulting for the first time. When I was my first trip to Vegas, and I had crab cakes at like Emerald's. It was like my first kind of adult restaurant when I was like in my 20s. And I went and my first thing that I ate that was like an adult food in an adult legitimate restaurant that wasn't named Denny's or something, right? And I had the crab cakes, and it was so dang good. And I had never understood what the term bland meant before. People would say, "Oh, this was bland." Apparently every food I had ever eaten in my life was bland. I just didn't know it because every food was bland. And then I had this food from Emerald Lagasse's place, and I had this crab cake, and it was such an explosion of flavor that I was like, "Oh my God, that's what flavor is." And it was in that moment that I understood what the word bland meant. And
That's
crab cakes.
That's that way if you travel overseas. We went to India about 5 years ago, and they use spice. We don't use spice compared to India.
Yeah.
Their mild food is our very hot fire food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got one of my leads is from India, and when people reach a certain tenure for their anniversaries, we take them to lunch and wherever they want to go. And of course, she thought it would be hilarious to take me to an authentic Indian restaurant. So I probably went through a half gallon of milk, as because I'll eat whatever they put in front of me, man. It's like it's up to them if they are bringing me to a place of their culture, I will try whatever it is that they recommend. I was very, I was sweating. I was tearing up. My nose was running.
Yep.
And it was.
The Indian food is something else. Working at John Deere, we have a lot of Indian employees. And so sometimes they'll come here and they really have to use the hottest hot sauce we have on our American food to get it to taste normal for them.
Yeah, the Indian and Afghan community, the Vietnamese community out here. I mean, there are so many, like the pho that's out here is really authentic.
Yeah.
The Indian stuff out. I mean, if you're in the Bay Area and you're looking for a foodie place to be, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, you might come back to some broken windows, but you'll have had the greatest meal that you've ever had. You just,
Chris, that diner that we went to in your truck in the downtown area was really good.
Yeah, there's some good food out here, man. You got to give it that for the Bay Area, that's for sure. So yeah, Aloha Smitty. Thanks for sharing the coconut shrimp and crab cake, man. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chris, you asked about my daughter. Her parting comment was, "I hate electric cars." After she couldn't get it to charge, and I told her, "I'm bringing you a gas one. Don't worry."
Hey, it's funny. I know we're trying to wrap up, but the thing out there made me think about the whole Rivian controversy. There's the Rivian LFP batteries out there where they're, someone kind of new to electric had bought the Rivian with the LFP battery, and at like 20% state of charge, the thing dies on him. It actually had 0% state of charge. And this was somebody was it Jose Rivian Tracker, or was it?
No, but it was somebody that they knew or that was on Twitter who posted it.
I know it wasn't him.
Well,
but
look for another one of those.
Oh,
yeah.
Look for another one of those on the forums in the next day or two, because on the turnpike in the middle of Oklahoma today, there was when I went coming north towards Tulsa, there was a wrecker loading a Rivian on a rollback.
You just hate to see those experiences.
Yep.
for people like your daughter and for so many others. And I know that kind of, you know, speaking about my wife earlier with the Model Y, and she took, you know, within a week or two of us getting the Model Y, took a girls trip down to Disneyland. And I was so relieved that she had a great experience there and back charging with the superchargers.
Yeah, Chris, that's exactly why when we were looking at electric vehicles for my daughter, and you guys know I am an absolute diehard Ford fan. I love Ford, everything they stand for. But if you're going to put your daughter in something who has zero experience with electric and you want her to have a seamless experience, the Model 3 or the Model Y is probably the one to put them in, because it's just, you type in where you want to go, it does everything else for you. It's going to charge when you tell it to charge. It's not going to be a big honking plug that's hard to plug in. That's why we went with it. Even at that, she's kind of over the lifestyle, but I sure understand the Tesla infrastructure is getting there. It'll be nice when we get all converted over to NACS on all the vehicles, and we get more of a unified communication protocol. So when you plug in, it just works. You know, and I think we're early in EV adoption. You know, if you think about it, back in about 21, 22 is when this all started rolling pretty good. So we've only been in it a few years. It's going to take some time to get this like it's supposed to be.
I will say the only caveat to that, I agree with what you're saying, but I will say the only thing that I will say that Ford has done that others have not is the Blue Oval Charge Network. If you gave someone a Ford and made sure that they only charge with the Ford app, as in when they, you know, came up to a charger and that's what they used to activate it. I'm not saying necessarily route planning, because that, you know, without the latest update, especially, you can't really compare that to Tesla. But if, you know, Ford has done a great job comparative to, let's say, Chevy or Hyundai and Mercedes-Benz. I see so many people pull up and they can't charge. And I think I have to give Ford kudos at least for that, because it allows people to activate basically any charger with one credit card, you know, and you don't have to pay any merchant fees or any, you know, thing like that if you go through Blue Oval.
That's funny that you mentioned that, Jace. That happened to me today on this trip.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to a Tesla station and I couldn't make I thought it was a non-NAC station, non-adapter or compatible station when I pulled up, because it wouldn't work. Now it turns out it was my fault. I had the NACS connector turned off in my Tesla app, but I ended up charging my truck through the Ford Pass app, and it was click the button and it was done. It was charging. You know, so I think that they have finally come around to where it's much easier to use if you're driving a Ford, to use the Ford Pass app. And I seen the movie. I don't know if you guys covered this, but there's a third, as Iona is on the plug and charge network,
and many others are being added as well. Ford Charge is actually being added on there as well, which obviously that makes sense, but I think they had to take some time to get that done. But you know, so now if you pull into a Ford charger, it would be plug and charge as well. You know, they're adding dealers as we go, but yeah.
I typically run Tesla and Electrify America just because of the cost. So I avoid Rivian, Iona, ChargePoint, typically because of cost. Like on this trip, we're trying to run Tesla because of the cost. If they could just figure out the membership, then I would be plug and charge fan and a promoter by far.
Yeah, if they could get it to give you your membership rates when you plugged in charge at these different places, I mean, that would be such a huge step. It'd be such a
huge.
Yeah,
I honestly think, though, we kind of talked about this on Facebook the other day. I wish, though, that just subscriptions would go away, period. You know, I just, like Iona, I wish that they would just charge the lowest price to everybody. Unless the only caveat to that is maybe if you're a Tesla owner, that makes sense. I could see giving, you know, cheaper prices to Tesla owners. But in my opinion, there should be no subscription, period. And everybody should just, you know, it should be like Iona, where everybody charges the lowest price possible. That's just mine.
That's interesting. In the business world today, where everything is subscription based, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not going to happen probably, but you know, it would be nice to just, because here, I mean, we have so many CCS networks, like I've mentioned online before. Tesla Supercharger network's just not great here. It's fine, it's getting better, but particularly in northern Michigan, there's no V3s other than Mackinac, you know, Island. So that's, gosh, 250-ish miles without a V3.
Yeah.
It's
You're
too far.
in an island up there.
Yeah, and so we have to go up, and I can't just use all EA to get there. You know, I have to use EVgo, Tesla, maybe EA as well. It just I'm switching so much that it unfortunately doesn't make sense to really get one. And I leave, and we might not even know which charger we're gonna hit. You know what I mean? When we're on the road, so because it is such a frequent road trip for us, and it's only 1 to 2 charges, so you know, it's a little different than a road trip that's, you know, got 16 stops or something. But yeah, I mean, that would be my wish, is just no subscriptions. So I can choose wherever I want to charge and then plug in, you know, too, and charge right away, not have to deal with the, oh, you know, like you said, even Marty, you know, or Martin, the it wasn't working today, you know, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Was it plug and charge? Was it your truck? Was it, you know, you might not ever know.
And there's just something so convenient when you pull up to a Tesla supercharger and you just plug it in and it just charges the card on file, and you know you've got the cheapest price available.
And you don't realize that until you do a long road trip, especially with this. Like, we have the older Model S we brought. You know, that station, we did, like, I don't know, it was like 30 charges or something on that, and you just jump out, plug it in, and go to the bathroom. You don't even think about it if it's charging. And I don't do that very often with the Lightning. Now that we have the charge speed on the dash in our 23, as soon as that shows up, I take off. But I usually kind of hang out until that shows up.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. We honestly, I'll choose. I know I'm kind of an unpopular opinion, but I will literally choose. I'll just go to the EA because I know I can plug in and it'll charge. You know, I guess you know, Tesla is that as well, but comparative to say EVgo or somebody else, you know,
If the rates were the same, I hear you, Jace. If the rates were the same, I would be picking EA, because EA typically I don't have to deal with an adapter. You pop it in, and the speeds are typically a little bit faster in my experience.
Yes, they are. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, as long as I got plug and charge, honestly, that's nice. I mean, I'll take it. But I've had many problems with EVgo's Auto Charge Plus. You know, it says it'll, you know, it just never works properly. I feel like I can never get this stupid thing to work right.
I concur. Mine never worked either.
And now I have some situation too on my app where it says it'll start charging my card the next time I charge, and that it's going to add my new truck to the Auto Charge Plus. I've charged, I don't know, 3 or 4 times there. It will not add my new truck to the Auto Charge Plus.
Yeah,
it's frustrating, but yeah, Ford is adding more plug and charge. Robert put out a whole article, so it's cool to see that not just Iona, there are others in the works as well. So that's cool.
And if you guys had one last point before we wrap up, Chris, I think I posted about this, but Google EV Routing, I don't know exactly when the update came out, now has the ability to adjust your arrival percentage. Now, it doesn't do it, I don't think, at each charger, but if you want to know how much you want to get home with, you can adjust that in any number. So you don't have to have an even number.
Or
yes,
do you know?
Yes.
Does it work?
I don't know if that works. I don't know if that works with CarPlay, because it doesn't incorporate battery percentage in CarPlay for maps. But you can go in and say, I want to ride with 3% or 9% or whatever, and it will route plan around that.
Cool, nice. Yeah, just like or a better route.
Yeah, a better route planner. Yeah, except for, you know, it's in 1% increments. So if you want to ride with 11%, you can plug that in. It's kind of interesting. Nice. I hadn't noticed it. That's why I posted it on the group. But I think that was one thing. It always wanted to route me. I knew I could make it home, but it always wanted to yell at me that I needed it, and it would reroute you, and you'd have to go in and delete it. So that makes it a lot better.
Nice.
So many of those basics, man. Like I just feel like they should all be where I want them all where I can take the screen and pinch and zoom. I want them all to be where I can see chargers around me and touch them and go there. I want them all to be where I can set my state of charge at each charger and the destination. I
will tell you, for non-towing, the 3, a better route planner, Google EV Routing, and the Ford navigation, I would pick any one of those. The only shortfall Ford navigation has is they don't have the Tesla stops yet, but that's going to happen soon for everybody. And I think once you get to that, you could jump in any Lightning, not towing, and trust any 3 of those.
Yeah. Even Tesla messed up recently. I saw a bunch of posts where they had suddenly made a bunch of them display just the city name.
I saw that, yeah. Or
very
just the
briefly.
business too, yeah.
Yeah. And then you were like, that's not helpful, guys. And then I think,
yeah, one guy said like he was on the East Coast and it was like Dunkin' Donuts, Dunkin' Donuts, Dunkin'
Yes.
Donuts, Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
It's
like what the hell
I
am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, like I know I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts, but geez.
Yeah, I guess you get Dunkin'.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, man, this is Apple Maps every damn day. You know what I mean? This is that whole Apple Maps life. And
oh my God, one of my chargers that I put in to go up north where we go in northern Michigan, I don't know why, but it's in Chinese. The name is literally Chinese symbols, and I'm like, what? How did this even happen?
You guys
I think
saw
it's a Tesla supercharger too.
You guys saw my post about my daughter's experience trying to get back to Florida from Kansas running Apple Maps, and it was that at first was a disaster. So I hooked her up with a better route planner and the premium service, and she made it. But then we had adapter failures. It was just a whole show, if you know what I mean.
Apple Maps have honestly arguably gotten worse for EV routing than when it launched, which is saying something.
Which is it's so sad, man. And of course, my bad timing when I had the Android phone was when Apple Maps was the first to come out with where it would sync with the EV battery and everything. And then I go and I get the iPhone just because that's how the family was. My daughter got an iPhone and my wife and everybody's got the iPhone. So and of course, as soon as that happens, Android catches up and surpasses and gets all their crap together. And I'm like, dang it, man. And it's I got the dang iPhone. I don't go on too many road trips, but a better route planner is definitely the way to go. But man, it's just frustrating that they're not better, because you would think for as big as a company as Apple is, they could get their crap together and get it right, and they could if they cared enough. But it's such a
and the problem is nobody uses it though. Toyota just did add on, so I mean, hopefully that's not a large EV contingent there, but hopefully that to see at least another company support it. I was happy to see that, because for a long time we were just stuck at Ford, and then it was only the Porsche Taycan. It wasn't even the Macan, or I don't know about the Cayenne obviously yet, but it's just weird that only Mustang Mach-E, probably E-Transit, and F-150 Lightning and as well as Taycan were supported. Other than that, nobody had any plans, and even Hyundai, Kia, nobody's announced any sort of plans. So
well, if you actually have ever run it, I understand why.
Yeah, but the problem is for them, they don't really have a lot of better options. I mean, they have a better route planner, but supposedly their stock nav is not like Ford. It's not, which I'm not saying Ford is great, but it works. And I've heard terrible things about theirs. So I see a lot of, that's actually a big comment on my threads when I post Apple Maps EV routing stuff, is how many people say, I have a Kia EV and I wish I had this. They don't even know what they're wishing for, but it's they want it.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, but I will say I use it for everyday driving. We use it every single day. With no charging involved.
Yeah. You're not route planning. I think it's fine.
Yeah, and even 1 to 2 charge stops, I think you're totally fine, because there's really not many route possibilities, so it can't be too bad, But I mean, other than that, it's unfortunate.
Yep.
Well, I think that'll wrap it up.
Well, fellas,
guys. Yeah.
Yep. It was a long show. Thanks for having us on again, Chris. Before Thanksgiving, I don't know how many viewers we had, but this was good to get back together. We need to try to make this more consistent. I know everybody's had life happening and it's hard to make it go, but for those that wonder, we are still going to continue the podcast. It's not going to stop. Things have been getting in the way. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's cool to get it going here, and it was fun to see you guys cooking. It's great to see you guys traveling. It's great to just catch up with everybody, and had some great folks chiming in the comments, and had some different viewers coming on and off. And as usual, as we get towards the end and later in the night, we get more people here towards the end. So for all you guys that jumped on towards the end, feel free as we close out to go back to the beginning and check that out. And over the holidays, check out I've got the video of all of this here with the old setup and then going to the new setup, and it has done horribly. So help me out. Go to my channel and watch this video. It's like 12 or 13 minutes. So yeah, go and watch the video of this setup and how we got here from the old setup. And then Friday, I will have the video on selling the Ford Edge with the Model Y and comparing the two, all the specs and the cost of charging versus fueling, and just the insides and outs and all of that stuff. So yeah, tune in Friday for that next video on Bow Family EV. And in the meantime, man, help me get over 300 views on this one, because nobody's watching this. So do a homie a favor, man, and spread the love on that one. And then we will be back hopefully next week with more cool updates and podcasts. So
Yep. And watch for the Everdrive video dropping soon. So
all right, guys, have a good night and have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks everybody for joining us.
You too, guys. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
We'll see you on
Thanks,
the online
guys.
stuff. See you guys.